Adult guys, how often did you get rejected before scoring a date? Is asking someone out supposed to be a numbers game? That you do it a lot and hope that one of them would not turn you down? What is your rejection rate? With online dating profiles, it definitely is a numbers game. Maybe 120 responded, and of those, maybe 15 become an actual date. The rates weren't that different being on the receiving side. Much higher percentage in person, though. You can suss out long in advance if there is any mutual attraction. When I was dating, provided the woman actually was single, the success rate was probably around 50-75. I am convinced that liking someone is a curse and will never result in actually dating unless you are the very top percentage. Ratio of girls I liked, axe out, and was much 100. If you're just going on pure numbers by not leveraging body language social intelligence, rejection rate is about 80. Out once I learned to slow my roll and read body language and listen to vocal intonations, it dropped to about 15. That was usually because they were in relationships or situationships. I spent 15 years in sales. I do much better with warm leads as opposed to cold calling. Same with women. Most of my success approaching women came from a friend of a friend, or coworker of a friend or whatever. Just putting myself in social situations. And the conversations flow a bit easier when we have mutual acquaintances. I'd say a fair bit. But I don't really approach women much. They don't seem worth the trouble most of the time. Last date I went on was in the spring and it was pretty mixed. Not something that I'm up to doing all the time in the first place. Rejected 100, never a yes. I've noticed over the last decade my success rate, as many other men have said as well, has been steadily going down as women appear less and less interested in real relationships. I also don't feel the average female in the cuffing range 1845 is worth the investment. The dates I have been on are boring and lack chemistry. I had to drive to 10 stores before I found one with dates in stock, but they weren't pitted, which pissed me off. I'm a decent looking guy. Semi-pro athlete. About 5'8" with a high status career. And while I have lots of women who slide into my DMs, the girls I actually want to date almost always reject me. I'd say my ratio is 19-20 reject me. While I was single, I had around a 50 success rate when IRL. Online though, I had dozens of matches before one actually turned into a date. But the date was always successful. The girls like me and it resulted in sex on first or second date. I guess I'm a lot better in person than online. Especially considering I'm average looking but really good at talking in person. Take yourself as a typical example. In a typical crowd, how many people are you attracted to? Say, 1 in 20? And then ask, how many people are attracted to you? If we take the above number, that's 1 in 20 also. So for two people to be attracted to each other is 1 in 400 pairs. The question is not, is it a numbers game? It absolutely is. The question is, what's the easiest, most efficient way to get through the 399 to find the one? Once you don't score a date. That's the thing. You don't need to trick girls in liking you. They want to find someone as much as men do. But don't ask random people for dates. This will never work. I've never been rejected because I never asked TBH, I do the rejecting. If you know what you're doing, you don't get rejected as much. For example, instead of asking a woman out, I ask when she's free. If she's not free, then I don't ask her out. You don't want women to get in the habit of saying no to your date requests. It's not a good feeling. And even though it's not your fault, she'll eventually start associating those bad feelings with you and get turned off. Don't create unnecessary friction by making assumptions. And wait until you find a good time when she's actually free. You can also tell when a woman is highly interested in you. She will make it easier for you to move things forward. I get dates. But the only reason I even got M was because I was in shape. Otherwise I'd be dead in the water. Back in the day, you were constantly talking to girls and seeing if anything stuck to pursue further. There were plenty of mini rejections in which the girl just wouldn't give you the time of day. So you moved on to the next. Impossible to keep count. But you learned not to take rejection too personally. Twice. At ages 12 and 13. Cute Polish girl named Laura. And a super hot Italian chick named Lisa. Everything after them was crazy steamy sex. Wild romance. Followed by soul-crushing heartbreak. Donna age 16. Score Gina age 17. Nancy age 19. My ex-wife. The list goes on. Don't worry, you'll never get laid or fall in love. Because you will eventually not be rejected. Worry what happens when you are no longer rejected. Genital herpes and unwanted pregnancy and my rejection score 0 successful, 25 unsuccessful. Open mouth smile, cold sweat smile, smiling face with tear sleepy. Never count the failures, just learn from them. You get rejected as much as necessary. I'll let you know when I score a date. Once you succeed, it doesn't matter. Don't remember how often. Definitely more no's than yes. Definitely a numbers game. This is very age specific. Dating in my 30s was brutal. Dating in my 50s is surprisingly easy. Everyone I've ever dated hasn't been anyone I've actually explicitly axed out. Just organic conversation led to chemistry to making out, and then things just kind of flowed from there. More of a Zen or Buddhist approach, I guess. Don't worry about rejection. A lot of women have been with clowns. Because a lot of them settle for men they aren't attracted to physically. Lot of women going to be alone. It's nothing wrong with you. I ask women out, and when they don't say yes or I'm available at this time on this day, I just stop talking to them. They don't want to meet me. But someone else does. Stay busy. You won't be worried about rejection because the time you have is limited and it's on her to make herself worth the money you have to lose to entertain her. To all the men rejecting themselves based on statistics, it's really not like that. Be decently good looking. Have an interesting job and smell nice. Most women would want your company. Honestly, I was never rejected. I actually had them seek me out. But that was back in the 70s and 80s. By the mid-90s, I had determined that all the women available to me had kids. I didn't want to raise another man's kids, nor did I want the associated drama. So I opted out at that point. Tip: don't ask out or hit on someone that is taken. It makes you look bad. And is a waste of your time. Also, some women don't like being hit on. I consider it annoying and an insult. 50 rejection. That because I asked a total of 2 girls out. One rejected and ghosted me even though we were good friends. The other is now my wife. I don't think I ever have been rejected. I'm pretty selective who I want to ask, and it usually goes pretty well. I know what I want and I know what the people I want be with want. If you count all the times someone said I have a boyfriend before I could get high out of my mouth, I've long ago lost track of the number of times I was rejected. If you limit it to those who rejected me after actually getting to know me a bit, my success rate was far better. Back when it mattered, I dated at least for a while most of the girls I was really interested in. FYI, I'm not good looking, but eventually learned to be pretty good at flirting.